In my career, I've encountered numerous peculiar situations that might make the average person question my sanity. From chasing UFOs to responding to calls about ghosts, I've seen it all. However, one of the most unusual incidents occurred when I, along with several officers and a dispatcher, witnessed something inexplicable. It was an evening when I brought in an individual for domestic violence. As the situation was a bit unruly, the sergeant and another patrolman joined me in the booking process. While in the midst of processing the suspect, I happened to glance into cell number 1. There was a man inside with a short haircut, glasses, and a white t-shirt, just silently observing us. I chose to ignore him, not wanting to provoke any disturbances. After completing the booking, I escorted the suspect to his cell, passing by cell number 1. The man inside remained still, offering no words or movements. We all left the booking area and continued with our duties. Later on, the sergeant asked me to review the paperwork for the prisoners to determine if any were ready for transport to the county jail. As I checked the paperwork in the booking area, I discovered that cell number 1 was empty. Concerned, I informed the sergeant, and both of us began making inquiries, calling the detectives to confirm if they had moved the individual or released him. None of them had entered the booking area. A re-evaluation of the computer records and paperwork confirmed the accuracy of the head count. No one had been placed in cell number 1. To unravel the mystery, we turned to the surveillance video in the dispatch office. As we reviewed the footage, we observed the moment of me booking the prisoner. Fast-forwarding to our exit from the booking area, the man in cell 1 seemingly blinked out of existence. This bizarre incident left all of us perplexed and uneasy. In an attempt to document the occurrence, we tried transferring the video to a DVD and USB drive. Strangely, the man in cell number 1 did not appear on the transferred footage. Even today, we occasionally hear and see peculiar things. And prisoners in the detox tank seem to engage in conversations with an invisible presence in the direction of cell 1, which appears empty. This experience has made me wary of entering the booking area alone.
One night I responded to a welfare check call between 2 and 3 a.m. for an elderly woman who lived next door to the caller. The caller expressed concern as the woman in her 90s lived alone and hadn't been seen for weeks. The night was stormy with thunder, though no rain. Upon arriving at the complainant's house, I spoke with her first, curious about the late night call. She informed me of the elderly lady's situation, explaining her unsuccessful attempts to make contact. The woman's car was covered in a 3-inch layer of dust, mail was accumulating, and there were no signs of activity. Suspecting the worst, I approached the side door, knocking loudly with my flashlight. After receiving no response, I checked the backyard, ensuring everything appeared normal. The complainant, unsure of any relatives, accompanied me. Convinced of a possible demise, I returned to the front of the house. I noticed the blinds were up, revealing a glow from inside. Unable to see through the high windows, the complainant provided a bucket for me to stand on. Peering inside, I observed an empty living room with a TV on a blue screen. The hallway, however, remained dark, and an open door caught my attention. Suddenly, an elderly woman's face appeared next to the glass, startling me. I fell backward off the bucket, struggling to catch my breath. Although shaken, I climbed back up to investigate. With hand on my gun and another on the window, I saw a frail, elderly woman in a nightgown, turning her head to look at me before slowly disappearing down the dark hallway. I descended, informing the puzzled complainant of what I witnessed. The wind picked up and rain began to fall as I walked back to my car. Before leaving, I cautioned the complainant against returning. I drove back to the PD without learning more about the lady, as the complainant didn't follow up and the house now had different tenants. Some mysteries are best left untouched.
I was working the graveyard shift at our holding cells at the PD. I made my way into the medical section. As I approached, I heard 2 people having a conversation. I just assumed it was 2 inmates conversing in a nearby cell, so it wasn't a big deal to me. I approached the first cell, noticing there was no name on the door. Without looking inside, I moved on to the next one, which had a solitary name displayed. I opened the hatch to have a look, and with no surprise, I saw a guy sitting on the floor inside the cell. Without disclosing my initial observation, I hesitated, allowing the individual to speak first. To my astonishment, the inmate inquired if I could relocate his neighbors because he desired some company. This request struck me as odd, but I proceeded to the previous cell to verify the situation. Opening the hatch and glancing inside, there was no one in there as I thought. Perplexed, I double-checked, examining the cell through the window, but it was empty. Baffled by the contradiction between what I heard and what I witnessed, I returned to the guy who had initially requested company. I asked him if he had overheard people talking, to which he affirmed, mentioning that they had been engaged in a lively conversation. Realizing the discrepancy, I informed him that there was, in fact, nobody lodged in the neighboring cell. Feeling a sense of unease, I swiftly exited the area. The inexplicable nature of the incident lingered, leaving me with a heightened awareness of the mysterious occurrences within the confines of the jail. As I continued my rounds, the incident served as a reminder that the jail environment occasionally harbors inexplicable phenomena, challenging my perceptions and understanding of the surroundings.
Responding to an alarm call at the aging PTA building adjacent to the courthouse in Austin, Texas, presented an eerie encounter that lingered in the realms of the inexplicable. Upon arrival, the alarm had fallen silent, and a seasoned officer and I embarked on inspecting the premises. Our attention was drawn to an unsecured door slightly ajar on the east side of the building. As my senior colleague continued the perimeter check, I stationed myself at the door, keeping a vigilant eye on the surroundings. In an unexpected twist, the silence was shattered by the alarm reactivating, coinciding with the door forcefully slamming shut before me. Startled, I called out to the senior officer, who swiftly returned to inquire about my abrupt closure of the door. Bewildered, I explained that I had no part in its sudden movement. Summoning additional support, we requested the assistance of a K-9 unit. The K-9 arrived promptly, and together, we ventured into the dimly lit building to conduct a thorough search. Despite the dog's uneasy behavior, suggesting a possible intruder without discernible scent, our efforts yielded no tangible evidence. The atmosphere inside the structure, however, resonated with an unspoken tension, as if the very walls held secrets yet to be unveiled. Securing the premises, we awaited the arrival of a key holder, who, upon presenting himself, shared a chilling revelation. "You're aware this place is haunted, right?" he nonchalantly remarked. According to the keyholder, a dedicated secretary had devoted nearly 3 decades of service within those walls. Following her passing, her spectral presence seemed to persist in the mundane tasks of the office. Papers fluttered from desks, doors closed mysteriously, and apparitions were reported by those who dared to remain after sundown. Both the seasoned officer and I exchanged bemused glances with the keyholder. We both told the keyholder the next alarm call there was all his.